Hi guys. Um, it's Sunday, I believe. Sunday, August 3rd. And I thought maybe I just was just compelled to share a couple quick words. Um, I just finished the book of Daniel again. Um, Very important for this end times. It actually has all the events that are getting ready to happen or have been happening. Um, so I just want to read something for you. Keep your eyes open. Um, so in Daniel 11, chapter 11, it says here that shortly after he shall take away. See, look, the king of the king that stands in the way of when the third temple is getting ready to be built, and they're gonna start doing sacrifices again. That's pointless, right? Because Jesus is the final sacrifice and the only sacrifice that could take away all the sins they're going to continue to try to take away. Right? So, but that event of the third temple being built, it should be kind of a wave to everyone. Hey, look, the third temple is coming into existence. But it says here, an arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary and strengthen, and shall take away the daily sacrifice. So the sacrifice that they're going to be doing, he's going to take it away, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. So that's when everyone's talking about, like Pastor Paul talks about it, Chicolante preaches it. Anyone who preaches end times knows that the Antichrist is going to he's going to come, he's going to overtake Jerusalem, he's going to overtake the temple, and he's going to take away the sacrifice, and he's going to stand in the place of God, in the holiest of holies. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be corrupt by flatteries. But, so he's going to do that. But it gives a description of this man. Neither shall he regard, so he's going to stand and he's going to claim to be God now. He's going to be like, he's going to exert himself above all gods. He's not going to worship any God anymore. He's not going to say the God of Israel is the God. He's not going to say the God of Islam is the God. He's not going to say Buddha is my God. No, he's going to exert himself the way the devil said in heaven. I will exert myself above all the stars of heaven, which he's going to exert himself above all the angels. And then he said, I'm going to place my throne over the Most High. That's what the devil said in heaven. And now this Antichrist figure is going to do the same. Watch, read. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. So he's going to be speaking against God, which we're already doing already, especially the LGBT community. For the whole Biden administration, the LGB and through Obama's, they colored the White House in rainbows. They exalted themselves. Now, everyone's saying that Obama's wife is not a woman, it's a man. And now they're saying Emmanuel's wife is not a woman, that's a man also. And but I want to point something out here. He shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. And for that is determined shall be done. Now, this is what's interesting, because Daniel 37 describes what the Antichrist... So far we're getting descriptions of the Antichrist, things to look for in people. So I'm not saying any of those men are the Antichrist. However, the Antichrist culture is already being exalted. Listen to this, their description of the Antichrist. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God. So this is going to be a man he's not going to have a woman wife. If anything, if he's married, he's going to be married to another man. He's not going to physically be for women the way God intended it to be. He's going to be completely Antichrist, nor the desire of women. So that's why when they said, because I told you how during my Jesus boot camp days, I was getting flooded with visions. I was wide awake, staring up into the sky, thinking, wow, I'm on the street. It was like very first couple of days of Jesus boot camp. And I remember I was looking up, and then all of a sudden, boom, I was wide awake, and I got the figure of a man's face, someone I had never seen before. And I was looking, and I was like, whoa. So I could see the sky, but I also saw this face. And when I looked at the face, I saw the man's face. You see how I'm like, my hair used to be down to here, but see how it's receding? He also was receding, right? And he was smiling, but when the vision, like a camera, zoomed in on his eye, my eyes are wide awake. I'm wide open. Because I was contemplating while I'm living on the street, this is crazy, just for Jesus, for no reason. It's like, what am I doing? But then this vision happened, and so the camera viewed in on, so a man I'd never seen before, and then when it viewed in, and this was before I started getting wise to the public, to the world stage of who leaders are, where the armies are right now, what's been going on. So right now I'm ignorant. Completely ignorant. So this is 9 years ago, beginning of Jesus boot camp. So I'm looking up, and then the camera zooms in on his eye, and then I could feel in the spirit. It was, you know how I say it gets downloaded, like Neo says, whoa, I know Kung Fu. You didn't read anything, you didn't study, it was just downloaded into his mind. It was just downloaded into my mind, and I could see his eye. Pure hatred and evil. It was a pure hatred for the people of God. He hated God's people, and there was nothing but hatred in his outer persona, like the leaders of today. They're kind, they're nice, but behind back doors, they are not those men. They put on a face for the public. He had a kind, nice face for the public. Like remember when Emmanuel got slapped in that thing? And then he saw that the camera was facing him, and then he put on that quick face for the public. It was like that, you could tell. And then when the camera zoomed in on his eye, it was and I remember going to work the next day, because I told you I was living on the street on purpose and going to work. And I called it Jesus Boot Camp, just to study the Bible. And I remember telling my manager at the time, who was the only one that would believe me. I would tell him about my visions and my dreams and what I was doing. And he was the only one that believed me. And I told him, dude, I did not know men could have evil in their heart like that. It was pure evil. And later on, 2 men on YouTube. So I started studying the world stage, YouTube, and all that. And I saw 2 men that fitted the description of this man. And if you look back 9 years ago, they kind of have similar looks. The one was the son of the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And this was the time when he had bought that building, that 666 address in New York. That time is when I had that vision. So if you go back and Google when that was, that's when I had that vision. And there was another man. So I started keeping my eye on that guy. And another man, I was like, whoa, it could be him or it could be him. And I started keeping my eye on this man called Emmanuel Macron. Now, if you look at them both, they don't look too much similar, but if the silhouette of their They do look similar. But Emmanuel Macron really fit the description. And then when I found out, and I was like, Emmanuel? His name's Emmanuel? That's God's name. That's God's name, Emmanuel. One of his names in the Bible. That's what Jesus was called. And I was like, whoa. And my eyes really opened up on that guy. And but now that I get to learn more and more about this, see, we don't know the background of those two men, but Emmanuel Macron sounds a lot, the way he fits a big description. And when I heard that now it's out that his wife could have been a man, and there's no could have been. If you get your pee-pee cut off, you're not a woman, you're a mutilated man. Getting my arms and my legs cut off doesn't turn me into a worm. I'm still a man. I'm just a mutilated man. So when I heard that, I was like, what? So that's why a couple of videos back, I shared Emmanuel Macron. I shared this same message, how it looked like Emmanuel Macron in that woke vision. And I was just reading this Bible, and it even says right here, because I study the New Testament like crazy, because I've got, but I've only read the Old Testament twice, all the way through. So, but for some reason in my spirit, it was like, the time is for the New Testament. People need to know the gospel of Jesus Christ. They need to know how the Old Testament would have been a good thing to study if Jesus hadn't come yet. But the whole thing is important. You got to read the whole thing. But you really focus on the New Testament. But my brother did something to me the other day, which led me to believe, because he sees 317 all the time. Like I see triple digits all the time. And now that he told me that, and I've been living with him now for over a year, I'm seeing 317 all the time, as well as triple digits now. So, but he the other day, he got kind of like, I call them messages, whether you believe in your God or not, but he got a message to look in this direction, and it was Daniel. So I read the book of Daniel for him. And my brother, for the first time, asked me to read the Bible to him, a verse, Daniel 3:17. So I've been motivated to read Daniel again. I read the whole thing. And I remember telling him later that day, wow, dude, you might have found the chief verse. Because I read every verse of 3:17 for him a year ago when he told me he sees that all the time. Because I believe in that stuff. Because I experience it myself. I'm witness to how Jesus can talk to you through numbers. And so I read all the 3:17s, and I was like, wow, 3:17's kind of all over the place. It could be judgment. Like Revelations 3:17 says, the people in Revelations thought they were rich, but you were poor. You did not have the word of God. You were naked. That's why you're that's why you're in the Revelations time. That's why you didn't get raptured. But also a lot of 3:17s are protection. And when and in how I told you, my little brother is protected. Yeah, though he has to stay in the rapture because he refused to repent and become a child of God before the rapture. I believe the losing the realization of whoa, like how the Greeks when they did all that to Jesus, but when they finally saw when Jesus died at the end, and that one Greek pierced them, they were like, this truly was the Son of God. I believe happens to my little brother. Yep, because we're not going to go into that, but the Lord showed me that him and a few other men are placed in a room and protected with 3 golden links that protect them from anything, from the demons getting to them. So I believe he's protected, and he'll be one of the end time warriors if he repents. But I believe he does, because the Lord showed me that, and I trust my Lord utterly and completely now. And so when he told me that, he asked me to read through Daniel 3:17 for him. Not only did I read that, without him knowing, I've been reading the whole thing of Daniel. And then I texted him later that day and said, you might have found your chief verse of 3:17, because Daniel is the prophecy of the end of America and the end of the world. The whole thing. Yeah, what happens to America is in there. What happens to the world is in there. What happens to the third temple is in there during our time. So I read the whole thing, but I'm compelled to share that with you because later this year, when I heard that Daniel Macron's wife, like Obama's wife, could actually not be a wife, could be a husband, I was like, okay. Out of the two men that I got my eye on for the Antichrist, not because of what I believe, just because of what I was shown, the man's face. I mean, it resembles the son-in-law of Donald Trump, who bought that building 666. So I've been keeping my eye on him. I haven't been accusing him of being the Antichrist, because we know in part and we prophesize in part. But I was made aware of the man's face. So when he did that's the building 666, I kept my eye on him. But as soon as I learned of this man called Emmanuel Macron, who looked just like the vision, more so than the Donald Trump son-in-law, and his name is Emmanuel, that's taking Jesus' name. That's taking Jesus' title. And so I've been keeping my eye on him, but really focused about a year ago, almost a year ago, when I found out, like Obama, his wife might not even be a wife. It's a husband. So I've been keeping my eye on him, how he's been progressing and mobilizing Europe's army now. Europe's army is coming together in a confederacy. And it's getting powerful, and he's at the head of it. He's one of the men at the head of it. But I was compelled to share this with you. Nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. So yeah, I'm not accusing any man of being the Antichrist, but it's good for, like it was good for me to see the face of this evil man who portrays to be so nice to the public, but behind doors he had nothing but hate. His eye. I remember telling my manager, I never knew that a human being could have so much evil, nor have I experienced in my personal life of over 40 years any type of evil of this magnitude. It was pure evil. So I advise everyone on here, read the book of Daniel. Yeah. Oh, also I wanted to read this part of Daniel for you, which corresponds with my last couple messages. In my messages, I told you guys that those who get left behind, don't take off your armor of God. Don't be like, God, why did you leave me behind? If you don't leave me behind, F you then. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because getting left behind is the final trial for you guys. If I get left behind, I'm going to dive deeper into this book. And I don't mean read. I mean my behavior is going to be completely like this book. Vince, we're going around recruiting and drafting all the men into the army. Well, fine. But I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to be a murderer for your thing. I'm not doing it. This is my weapon. Yeah. You might as well arrest me or put me down now. Because I'm not going to go murder men. Because look, it said, many shall be purified and made white and tried. Remember what I told you? This will be your last chance to get to heaven. That's it. Jesus took his people. He's gone. Fine. You want to be separate from me through your behavior? Then boom. Tribulation. I'm gone. I'm leaving. I'm taking my bride. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And it's saying those in that time will finally bend their knee and say, like I said, their heart will finally be unhardened and become contrite. They'll be like, what have I been? Look at the result of my behavior. I have been left behind by Jesus. Many shall be purified and made white in that tribe. So when they act like that and they really dive into their Bible and only walk around as a walking Bible, they shall be made white and tried. You're going to be tried, the final test. But the wicked shall do wickedly. That means everyone else who doesn't know Jesus, who still continues to rebuke Jesus out of their life, they're going to go around being marauders. They're going to go around stealing and raping. A lot of the visions people are getting saying it was lawless. No one was stopping at any of the lights. No one was honoring any stop signs. Yeah, you had crossing in your car or on foot crossing a intersection became an extreme hazard. Yeah, the wicked are gonna just, like the looters. That's so evil. When you go and loot, because there's no law in the land, that just shows who you really are. But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand. Yeah, no one's gonna understand. No one's gonna care, or they're gonna be like, "Where's your God now?" or whatever. But the wise shall understand. Those wise, they'll be like, "Yeah, we are not participating in this. No, this is our last chance to get to heaven. There's no way I'm going to do the things that you guys are doing. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolation set up, there shall be 1,290 days." Listen to this. "Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. So that if we get left behind, anyone that gets left behind, this is your final chance. This will be it. You'll be the final test, the final trying. You know, if you get left behind, it's because you refused something in this Bible. Pride. You went to church and for 30 years, but when you came home, you just still talked bad about everyone. You went to church and brought your gossiping to church. You know, you didn't be this faithfully in your heart. Jesus said, whatever goes into your mouth does not defile you. Jesus said, whatever comes out of your heart, out of your mouth, is what defileth a man. So don't put on the garments of Christianity. Inject your heart with Christianity and let it come out from the center of your heart, out through your whole being, out through your mouth. That means I no longer curse. I no longer argue. I no longer strife. As a matter of fact, blessed is the man that lives peaceably. Everything that comes out of my house is peace. Out of my mouth is peace. Someone starts talking bad about me on the internet or on a video game, I don't respond in kind. I try to turn that man into a friend. For the Bible says, be kind to an enemy and turn him into a friend. Thou hast gained a brother for life. But that's not what everyone's going to do, or most of them. They're going to get fought against or argue against, and they're going to argue back. That's why you stayed behind. You went to church and continued to gossip. That came out of your heart. That's why you got left behind. So people on the street were in need. We're in need. And you hardened your heart. The defilement didn't come out of your mouth. It came out of your actions. You did nothing. You actually hardened your heart. You fenced up against the needy. Don't harden your heart during the tribulation if you get left behind, like most will do. They will say, fine. You must say, I failed, and now I must become more humble, more obedient. Read Daniel. In Jesus' name, bless you.